Name is Pierre de Rochefort, an American, despite the name, French background, French father. My title here is Information Management and Training Senior Officer within the Disaster and Crisis Management Department. Slightly by accident. I had been a liberal arts major out of University of Vermont, and was looking for something to do, and tried the whole banking, Wall Street, potential law school avenue. Decided it wasn't for me, and took an opportunity to go to the Peace Corps in West Africa, and that was the Kickstarter to my entry into this, what is, as everybody admits, a fascinating but somewhat crazy business that evolves and changes every year and even every month as the pace of technology and so on and so forth gets ever more rapid. Gaps will occur. People will not get goods delivered in an efficient way, and there will be losses and unmet needs. It's just clear. I mean, in every operation we've done, there's evidence pointing. We do real-time evaluations each operation, and it's pretty clear that there's always, in the haze of a big operation, the people lose, the sight of what they're supposed to be delivering to. And I think, again, when coordinated efforts are being taken, there's sort of a reality check that goes on in operations that affords people an opportunity to say, hey, what about this? What about that? And it's challenging. It's often messy, but it does give that opportunity to sort of take a wider view rather than, a specific institutional approach to, how we're doing in an operation. Because you can oftentimes, the blinders come on, and so coordination, I think, just gives you that opportunity to take a step back and see a bigger picture. Competition, I think, is the bane and the boost of what we do. I think, in a lot of ways it keeps people honest and pushes us and challenges us and so on and so forth. But at the same time, I think when you're talking about competition in this humanitarian world, it can get a bit, for lack of a better word, perverse in that, we're told on one hand, and, coordination is something that is obviously a huge priority and pushed between agencies internally and across agencies, and yet at the end of the day we're all looking for that money that funds us, and we're looking for profile, and we're looking for promotion. So there's a little bit of a jarring disconnect there in the, I don't want to say lip service, but the notion that we're trying to promote coordination, coordinated action, and figure out better ways of doing things, and yet we're also looking at overheads and cost and and organizational interests that sort of are a little bit not quite linked to the language and the notion and the principles of coordination that BBR and many other initiatives are trying to promote. So that's the reality of how we work, and funding being, financial interest being a large part of that, while we maintain what we're all trying to do is show some degree of coordinated action. I would go back to my personal experience. I'm going to admit something that is fine. I'm probably a classic example personally of somebody who, if I'm in an operation, I look to narrow priorities down to a manageable set of things. And that means, pushing off to the side things that are not in a 24-hour period or whatever workday is not going to lend specifically to making my job easier, and that's so it's quite an inward looking thing, and probably looking up in this place to satisfying supervisors or leadership demands. And I say that because I've been in positions where going to that coordination meeting becomes an elective type thing. Easily just say, well, I just don't have time for that. And it's one of those things that or if you're in an operation, and we've all faced it, where you have to get in a car. You have to go across town, and in a place like Guinea Conakry, that could be 2 or 3 hours of your time. Sit in a meeting that might be useful, might not, but that's a sort of unclear issue at that point, and somehow pull out, first of all, inject in that meeting what you hope to inject, and make it useful, and then pull out from it what would be useful to your organization and hopefully to the larger humanitarian community. And I think we've all been in a position of saying, well, I can't manage that today. And then the minute you start that, it might become a bit of a routine and a pattern. Well, you might feel badly you didn't make it to that meeting, and so I guess to answer your question, I would say, commit to that. Make the time. It's discretionary, but somebody should be saying that is really, amongst all the other 1,000,001 priorities you have going on, depending on the size of the operation, that should be one of them. And I would, if I was talking to somebody newly in this business, say, just do it. It's not going to be like you're not going to be able to put your finger on exactly the value coming out every time from that meeting, and you'll be frustrated. We all are, because sometimes these meetings can be unwieldy and badly managed. But I think the symbolic value of it and the notional value of it is big.